A turbulent and far more perilous era has just begun. Donald Trump resolutely refuses to back down an inch, even unleashing firepower on Karg Island, regardless of Iran's prior warning that any attack on their oil sources would provoke retaliation across the Gulf nations. Yet Trump continues to press forward. Observing his choice of words and attitude at this moment, one can discern two completely contrasting versions of Donald Trump. On one hand, he repeatedly asserts with a hoarse voice that his side is holding the upper hand, that victory is firmly in their grasp, and that Iran is effectively shattered. On the other hand, this same man is waving for support, pleading, "Help me, help America. Why must we be left stranded amid this battlefield?" The problem lies in the fact that, from the outset, he personally thrust himself into this furnace. Only now does he remember his closest allies, those he has spent the past year berating and undermining. Yet suddenly, he is calling out their names. Many begin to wonder about the reasons behind this. The question that occupies minds is why Donald Trump has placed himself in such a solitary, surrounded position. The public is also trying to understand why the conflict is escalating at such a dizzying pace. And they are searching for who first mentioned the words nuclear. Today we will go through the latest developments to untangle these questions. With 5 streams of fresh information, whether it's the weekend or the start of the week, the gunfire shows no sign of stopping. A series of events keep surfacing one after another, alongside countless false rumors. Many begin to speculate about Benjamin Netanyahu's current fate. Across social media forums, the topic is buzzing incessantly. We will dissect this story shortly. But for now, priority number 1, the Strait of Hormuz is keeping the United States on edge. A place previously ignored by the US. Now every move must revolve around clearing obstacles in the strait. They are racking their brains to breach Iran's blockade, a truly thorny puzzle. Even Americans admit among themselves that they are empty-handed, with no coherent strategy to unlock the choke point at the Strait of Hormuz. Hence, Donald Trump takes to the internet, calling out, "Brothers, friends, and even other major powers from the UK, France to China, please come, join hands to lift this blockade. Please escort and protect the ships." The nation commanding the world's most feared military is now extending a hand in plea. Help us. They say this issue has reached global scale. The flow of goods around the world is at risk of being severed. The world's wealth could be shattered. Thus, this is no longer just our own problem, it has become everyone's concern. Those who once threw a quagmire at the world now find it considered a collective burden. The irony here is that Donald Trump, once so arrogant, only days ago brazenly told UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, "We don't need your help. Keep your ships. The war is almost over. We don't care about your aircraft carriers." Yet now he has turned around and is issuing invitations. The French immediately rebuff. "Weapons are your issue. The mess is yours. Clean it yourselves. We will not deploy a single vessel." Meanwhile, China is probably quietly smirking. "Fine, we'll send our ships to your area." Notably, China is maneuvering an entirely different strategy in this region, and it seems Beijing's intelligence is exploiting the Strait of Hormuz extremely smoothly. Looking at the chessboard laid out before us, first, the firepower game, they have locked down the strait, forcing the US to hesitate. But immediately after, one must observe what move they will make next. Fresh intelligence indicates exchanges between Iran and India are progressing very positively. This is reassuring, as it ensures that our gas and oil supply will continue to flow steadily. In India, gas shortages are beginning to appear, whether due to hoarding or actual depletion, but soon the truth will be revealed. However, if we were to pull out the past close ties with Iran and whisper, "We are old friends," despite years of ignoring them due to conflicts with the US, and if Iran manages to restore this independent channel and control which ships may sail and which must turn back, the US will face a severe blow. At that moment, Iran would effectively hold full authority over the Strait of Hormuz, deciding who may pass and who must stay. Move 2. Whoever pays in China's renminbi will have their ships granted passage. One must admit that China is pulling strings from the shadows with exceptional smoothness. Iran is also laying a strategy that drives Americans to distraction just to find a way to respond. Iran states, "Remove all your ambassadors from our country, and then we will allow your ships safe passage." The hotheads in Iran shout demands. The Strait of Hormuz is our home turf. Westerners who want to pass must pay up. Otherwise, we'll fire upon your vessels. The U.S. is gradually sinking into a massive quagmire as the chessboard has been completely flipped. Not only can they not remove Iran or its authorities, but the opponent grows increasingly aggressive, determined to maintain their roots in the Strait of Hormuz to collect tolls. U.S. or Israeli ships are banned. Want to pass? Stay clear of U.S. or Israel. This is indeed a significant shock in the Strait of Hormuz region. Sounds simple, but in reality, untangling this choke point is far from easy. Amid the raging conflict, a notable development occurs as the U.S. military decides to bomb the Karg Island area. Donald Trump loudly asserts, "We have flattened everything." Heavy firepower has been unleashed on this strategic throat, the point from which all of Iran's oil flows outward. Many question why Karg Island is so crucial. The issue is that Iran's coastal waters are shallow, so massive ships must reach deep water ports to load fuel. Karg is one of the rare ports with water deep enough for large vessels. Consequently, destroying this location effectively severs Iran's export route, depleting their coffers. The U.S. has planned its moves accordingly. However, Iran had already warned early on, "If you touch our oil fields, we will not hesitate to target the Gulf states." Iran's foreign minister bluntly points out, the HIMARS rockets fired at Karg Island and the nearby Abu Musa Island originated from the UAE, launched from Ras Al Khaimah, not far from Dubai. Therefore, those targets are legitimate. Notably, Iran has openly declared it will target the opponent's ports, striking directly at U.S. interests. This week, the UAE and Gulf allies are likely to face even more headaches. Simultaneously, the U.S. is caught in another massive predicament. Something that never appeared during years of conflict in Iraq now looms. Iran-backed militias in Iraq have fired directly at the U.S. consulate in Baghdad. Even the Green Zone in central Baghdad, the place civilians consider safest, has had to evacuate. Considering Baghdad, the Gulf states, and the U.S. KC-135 refueling fleet, questions arise. Without fuel resupply, where will the so-called master of the skies, as Americans boast, operate? To date, 7 refueling aircraft have been lost, either downed or destroyed. This is truly a massive upheaval. Iran is playing extremely strategic moves, targeting only the most sensitive points. Likely next week, we will witness the IRGC taking tangible action after threats. Recently, smoke and fire erupted in central Dubai. The message is now crystal clear. You disrupt our livelihood, we will smash yours. Observe how the opponent's commercial towers, server systems, companies, and banks are devastated. Sounds simple, but the reality is highly tense. In another development, Israel is protesting Iran's use of cluster bombs. Picture a parent bomb containing 50-80 smaller bombs inside, dispersing widely upon detonation. These bombs do not explode with the same destructive power as a single massive bomb, but they are extremely hard to counter due to flying fragments and are often condemned for endangering civilians. Now, Israel is irked by cluster bombs dropped on them. Previously, when they used such weapons on Gaza or Lebanon, no one complained. Now they protest. You are playing unfair. The irony is that a nation that once used white phosphorus to burn and corrode flesh now complains about cluster bombs. The deeper reason for their frustration lies in their anti-air defenses now riddled with holes. They are facing ammunition shortages and insufficient radar systems. If the shooting continues for weeks, countless missile salvos will follow. Consequently, both the U.S. and Israel are scrambling, seeking every way to close the conflict. Discussions of a ceasefire emerge. Yet Iran's demands are bitter medicine for Trump. The U.S. must fully compensate all war damages and withdraw all bases from the Middle East before even sitting at the negotiation table. Unlike before, when Trump bombed Iran's nuclear sites and proclaimed victory, This time, Iran demands clear, documented agreements with extensive conditions before even considering a truce. Thus, Trump and Netanyahu find themselves in dire straits. Netanyahu faces missiles hitting home, while Trump grapples with a strangled U.S. economy. Hence, whispers about nuclear options begin circulating. We will examine this further shortly. One thing is clear: the situation is extremely murky. Social media is dizzying. On one side, Israeli sources spread non-stop claims that Mojtaba Khamenei, the newly appointed supreme leader, is dead, dying, or gravely injured. Conversely, rumors claim Netanyahu has vanished, maybe dead, or just took a hit. Perhaps in reality, no strike occurred. He is likely sheltering underground, coordinating. Yet a fiery figure going silent for so long is highly unusual, revealing his anxiety. No one knows when Iranian ordnance might strike, or where. The public wonders whether methods previously used against Khamenei could be applied to Netanyahu. The balance of power has inverted. The sense of dread Netanyahu once instilled in others now haunts him. Truly ironic. But it does not stop there. Amid chaotic news, the most notable point is the U.S., constantly boasting of its upper hand, as if saying, "We are tired of always winning." Yet now they are too weak and must hide these celebratory claims. Trump simultaneously hails victory while warning that not everything will be revealed. No one knows the damage to the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln or the reality of the drone strike on Fujairah. In the UAE or Dubai, simply filming and posting images of destruction risks being apprehended. This group works hard to conceal the devastation. In the US, Trump directly warns the press, "Put down the pen. Writing like this harms the country." Initially, they justified actions under patriotism, but once the truth surfaced, they pressured media outlets to follow the narrative or risk losing their licenses. The US, proud of free speech, now has Trump silencing journalists, fail to write in favor of the missiles, and face consequences. This is the current American reality. A large-scale gag order is in effect. Whether Netanyahu survives is unknown, yet the nation's image is battered, and citizens hear nothing. The double standard is blatant. Reporting on cluster bombs in Gaza or Lebanon was smooth. Civilian deaths were trivialized. But when the ball lands near Israel or the US, civilian deaths suddenly become highly sensitive. This hypocrisy is widely exposed online. The mainstream media narratives are now discarded. At first glance, ordinary, but in reality, bitterly ironic. Many worry about the coming days. The public is eager to see how this week's picture unfolds. A growing stream of information suggests other armed groups may enter the fray. The Houthis in Yemen could join. If Bab al-Mandab is blocked, alongside Hormuz, the second vital maritime choke point is severed. Concerns rise over soaring fuel prices. Many wonder if this worst-case scenario will materialize. Likely, the next days will reveal clarity. Should Iran's munitions deplete, Houthis may throw their full force in, creating unprecedented maritime gridlock. One clear reality emerges. As shields like Iron Dome or David's Napalm wear down, Hezbollah and Iran's guards are poised with short-range missiles. If protective layers thin, a barrage could pour down on Israel before replenishment. The U.S. is powerless to supply more ammunition. Rumor has it, the THAAD air defense system shipped from South Korea to Jordan to replace losses has also been destroyed by Iran. The situation is indeed tense. Gulf powers are increasingly irritated with the U.S., contemplating alliances with Turkey or Pakistan for self-protection, as trust in America erodes. The UAE is clamping down, barring U.S. military access. Yet Iran asserts, "You still leave openings for U.S. spying. No way we'll allow that." Curiosity grows over whether Gulf allies can extricate themselves from U.S. dependence. It is a difficult problem, as ties are deeply rooted and the U.S. will not relinquish its stake. Broadly, this week tension escalates step by step. No side is yielding. Iran is in an all-or-nothing stance, and Trump is not one to retreat. All parties are bleeding. Bombs fall on Iran, yet Iran strikes back. Global finances risk further contraction. Another development emerges. Consequently, Trump's strategists are pressured. Extinguish this blaze immediately, or Israel may deploy nuclear bombs on Iran. During discussions, someone asked whether such weapons might actually be used. Here, we never post sensationalist headlines like World War III erupts, nuclear bombs fall, humanity perishes. But I state plainly, Trump may rebel, yet he is not insane enough to press the nuclear button. As for Israel, I make no promises. Israel sits on a powder keg, eager for a reason to deploy nuclear weapons and end matters decisively. They crave a spark. Currently, gunfire does not provide sufficient justification for nuclear action. Therefore, Iran, the IRGC, the foreign minister, and the head of their National Security Council continually warn, absolutely prevent any covert actors from throwing rocks on U.S. soil and blaming Iran. They insist Iran is not involved in any domestic U.S. terrorist acts. Yet veteran analysts and past lessons indicate the possibility of another false flag operation to give Israel a pretext for bombing and clearing obstacles. Half a month ago, I would have laughed if someone mentioned nuclear weapons. But with the current escalation, Trump's stubbornness, Iran's defiance, Israel is surely lying in wait. Perhaps Netanyahu is sheltering underground, devising an even more vicious plan. In the coming days, we must watch carefully to see where this fire spreads. In my view, the path to reconciliation has reached a dead end. Israel presents razor-sharp demands, and the U.S. certainly cannot agree. America is not yet cornered to the point of